Okay, good to go.
I call the order the public hearing of the Plan Commission meeting at the Richard Young Fire Station on December 3rd, 2025, 6:31.
Yep.
Roll call, please.
President Gerke,
Here.
Trustee Baum,
Here.
Trustee Quinn is present on Zoom.
Here, yep.
Commissioner Aelhoffen is absent and excused. Commissioner Eberly,
Here.
Commissioner Howard,
Here.
Commissioner McCormick,
Here.
Commissioner Lesser.
Here.
Planner Sumwalt is absent and excused. In his place, we've got Planner Malarkey, Attorney Larson. Engineer Lysis is present in the audience. Administrator Green.
Here.
And Clerk Capazzo to record the minutes.
All right. So then next up is the first public hearing. First, we'll have our planner, Malarkey, calling for Orin tonight to give a presentation. This will be followed by the petitioner addressing the commission if they so desire. Next, the planning commission and village board will have the opportunity to ask questions for clarification of the village planner, the applicant, and our staff. And we will open the public hearing for comments from witness testimony from those that wish to speak tonight. And if there are anyone who likes to speak, they can, there's a form to be filled out in back. Is it a form up back there?
Yep, it's over on the table next to copies of the public hearing notice and the agenda for tonight's meeting. So if you did not grab one on your way in, feel free, help yourselves.
All right, and the rules and the kind of everything else are listed on there, so that should be pretty self-explanatory. But we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. So at this point, I will open the public hearing and ask Planner Malarkey to give his presentation.
Yep, I will read the
yes.
notice into the record. Notice was given that public hearings will be held by the Lisbon Village Board and Plan Commission on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025, starting at 6:30 p.m. at the Richard Young Memorial Fire Station, North 54, West 26455 Lisbon Road, to solicit public comments on the following items. Joint hearing number 1 is a joint public hearing pursuant to section 18.04 sub G sub 1 of the Lisbon Municipal Code to consider whether to terminate a conditional use permit issued to American Tower Corporation, previously Waukesha Tower Associates, and John and Myrtle Condon Properties Limited Partnership for a communications tower that has since been removed from the property located at West 260, North 6035 Mary Hill Road, tax key LSBT 0257071 in the Celtic Ridge Estate subdivision.
Okay, so as I understand it, back in May of 2022, there was a public hearing held at the time to terminate the conditional use permit for the tower. But there was still an active lease on the property for the tower, and the conditional use permit also allowed the approval of a new tower up to a specific height. So no action was taken. The conditional use permit was not terminated at that point in time. Since then, the tower has been removed from the property, the lease has been canceled, and evidence has been provided to that effect. However, the conditional use permit still remains on the property. The CUP also limits the development of 2 adjacent parcels in the subdivision, lots 26 and 30. And so if the conditional use permit was terminated, it would allow potential development of those parcels for single family use. The village can essentially terminate a conditional use permit for 2 reasons: one, from inactivity, or through public hearing. And so this is the public hearing for that particular process. The lease actually ended in the summer, so it hasn't been a year yet. So it can't be terminated in that capacity. It's got to be terminated through public hearing. Last month, I believe the village board directed staff and the planning commission to proceed with the termination hearing. That's why we're here tonight. The actual process requires publishing the class 2 notice, which has been done, providing written notice to the property owner, which has been done, and then holding the public hearing. Essentially, you'd be basing the termination on 2 provisions in the zoning ordinance. One is nonconformity with conditions. Essentially, the use is not continued in conformity with the conditions of the CUP. The original conditional use permit mandates ongoing maintenance and then removal within 60 days of the lease termination. And again, the tower has been removed from the property. And then second item is incompatibility due to changed circumstances. The code requires that a change in the nature of or character of the surrounding area or of the conditional use itself would cause it to no longer be compatible with the surrounding use would be a grounds for termination. The surrounding subdivision has evolved over the years, developed into a residential neighborhood. The tower's 130-foot original fall easement would occupy a number of surrounding lots. And so it would essentially be in conflict with the goals of the comprehensive plan for housing diversity and safe residential environment. So that's essentially the background here. The motion that's in the staff report essentially cites those two provisions of the zoning ordinance as reason for termination.
All right, thank you for that. So I guess we don't have an official applicant here. This is kind of more initiated through the village, right? So,
Correct.
do either of you have anything you want to add to that? I probably not.
No comments, just the same as what I had initiated to the village board in November, which I believe is attached to the report from, in the packet.
Does anyone on the planning commission have any questions directly for Oren, for Dan? All right, then we'll open it up for public comments. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak? You can hand your slip over to Elisa, and then I think there's just you. You can state your name and address for the record, and
Thank you.
go ahead and make your presentation.
Presentation.
Or make your statements.
I'm just curious to know exactly.
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Mary Stuckroth, W222 and 8992 Elmwood Road, Sussex, Wisconsin, 52009. I'm just trying to understand, we already have a wetland there. So I don't know.
This is for the tower termination conditional use.
Oh, okay.
So if you're here for the other one,
I'm sorry, I
wait
should-
for that
should
one to
stop this
start.
sooner. I knew which one you were here for. I'm sorry. So we're gonna pick you back up here just in very shortly. No one else is here to speak on this. So then we will close the public hearing. At 6:30.
6:39.
All right. Now we'll open up the second public hearing.
Want me to read the notice?
Sure.
Sure. Notice was given that public hearing will be held by the Lisbon Village Board and Plan Commission on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025, starting at 6:30 PM at the Richard Young Memorial Fire Station to solicit public comments on the following item. There's a Plan Commission public hearing for a request by owner applicant Chad Umuller for a conditional use permit to allow excavating for the purpose of improving wildlife habitat via a wetland scrape in the AD10 agricultural and C1 conservancy zoning districts on the property located at West 222 North 8944 Elmwood Road, tax key LSBT 0148999005.
Right. Go ahead.
Okay, so this property, this 56+ acre property, was part of a 3-lot certified survey map that was approved earlier this year. There's basically an isolated wetland in the front yard of the property. It's a little less than a half an acre. What they're looking to do is essentially take just less than 10,000 square feet of that to create a pond as part of the wetland. They do have, and the purpose of that would essentially be to enhance the wildlife in the area and to provide an aesthetic feature for the property. The wetland has been delineated. The DNR has issued a statewide general permit for it. Essentially states the maximum slopes would be 8:1 with an average depth of about 5 feet. Material from the scrape to create the pond would essentially be dispersed elsewhere on the site. And then they'd be restoring the edges of the pond with a wet meadow native seed mix. In terms of the zoning, again, it's, the property is zoned AD10, but the wetlands are zoned C1 Conservancy, in which establishment of wildlife habitat is a permitted use. Excavating, however, within the wetlands for that same purpose is by conditional use permit, and so that's why the public hearing is required. The petitioner has stated, as part of their, or submitted as part of their application, the conditional use permit application, the grading permit application for the disturbance, the grading and erosion control plan for the pond, and then the DNR permit, for the wetland. So the zoning ordinance essentially includes a number of general conditional use, considerations for any conditional use, and so those are on page 3 of the staff report. The one thing that I would note here that Warren pointed out in the report essentially is that the proposed pond is within a wetland that is sometimes used for farming during the dry years, and it might be wet other years. So looking at historic photos, you can kind of tell when it was farmed and when it was not. With the development of the surrounding area, and the farmland here is fairly isolated, it's not really feasible to continue farming anymore, so that the wetland scrape for the pond does provide an aesthetic feature where the farming is no longer necessarily can take place. The zoning ordinance does also provide specific conditional use considerations for this specific use. I just want to point out a couple of them. One is that detailed plans, grading plans are required as part of this. The proposed use cannot create flooding, concentrated runoff, inadequate drainage, has to conform to all other ordinances. And I would note that the petitioner has submitted plans for this particular use. So that's the general overview. I'd be happy to answer any questions as well.
Unless I missed it, I didn't see any correspondence in here, anything from the Corps of Engineers regarding this. Even if it's a statement of no jurisdiction. And the second question I have is, again, unless I missed it, one of the conditions in here with regard to restoration deal primarily with where the wetland is and where the excavation is going to take place, and there isn't any statement in here regarding the restoration of where the waste site is going to be, that restoration be done.
All right, so I guess I just went a little bit out of order there. I should have let you go ahead and see if you wanted to add anything before we ask our question. So we'll give you a second to kind of be prepared to answer that, unless Chad, you have anything you want to add to the presentation, or I guess preemptively kind of address that.
Chad Allmiller, you want, I can answer those questions.
Sure, go ahead.
So address W222 North 8944 Elmwood Road.
Yep, you got it.
Okay, the first one is before the DNR issues a permit. We got the Army Corps of Engineering to sign off on it. So
Where do we have that?
I don't believe I submitted in the application just because it was the application for the DNR. I can send that over.
I think it should be, if you've got some correspondence from the Corps of
Sure.
Engineers, and they're saying that they have no jurisdiction, that should be included in the file in your record.
Okay, not a problem.
I
Yep.
mean, that protects you and also protects the village.
Yeah, I can send that over to you in a few minutes. And
Perfect.
second question was, you were asking where the
There's no, the conditional uses that are being proposed here. The conditions, I didn't see anything there regarding what's gonna happen to the waste site. There's a statement in here that you're gonna submit a landscaping plan for this wetland area, but there's nothing with regard to where the spoils come out.
Sure, so I'm building a house 500 feet away, and that requires fill, which we already have a approved grading plan for. The DNR requires that we keep it on site, so I'm just moving it over there. Anything that we take out that's considered topsoil, we're gonna spread for topsoil on the house. Anything that's fill, we'll use for filling around the house. We are currently under construction on the home. So best time to excavate is in the winter because then, not as muddy.
Did you submit a landscaping plan?
A landscaping plan on the pond or the home?
Either one.
The home, I've never submitted a landscaping plan for.
No, that's not required by code.
As long as you don't, a certain number of feet from the driveway, mound, or the house.
And then I guess the landscaping plan for around the pond was a written plan, nothing outside of the drawings that you showed. I think, he highlighted on the fact that I'm putting wetland grass seed around the edges when we restore the area. Everything
You
else
did
is,
submit a landscaping plan?
No, essentially what the plans, it simply says that they'll be restored with, the edges will be restored with a wet meadow native seed
Okay,
mix.
because I don't see it in our packet, that's why I'm asking.
sure, well, it's not a drawing, it's just a description of wetland grass seed mix.
Again,
Around
it
the
should be
edges.
filed in the record, because right now we have no record.
That is in the record. The description, not a
That
drawing.
may be in the large,
So maybe I'm just thinking of what I saw in Orange report, specifically stated in the,
In the, I can
report.
pull it up.
Yeah.
Probably in the.
I know staff has it.
oh, it's mentioned in here in the first page of the document from the state. Point number 1. There is, the river on the pond will be restored with a wet meadow native seed mix.
Okay, it also says there's gonna be a landscaping plan submitted, and that's what I'm getting at, I'm wanting to make sure it was submitted.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that is my landscaping plan. I'm gonna surround the perimeter with, a wetland grass mix and. Everything else is restored back to the way it is.
All right, I think we could address that.
Well, wait a minute, before, can we finish one thing before we jump ahead to something else? Because I wanna make sure.
Let's keep this civilized and we'll
It's
talk.
civil, I was,
Excuse me. Well, we can treat the residents with respect, you can ask our questions, but we don't have to direct it and address them in an angry manner.
I'm not an angry
Let's-
man, I'm talking to you as the chair.
Joe, we can talk after the meeting if you'd like.
No,
Let's-
we're not gonna talk after the meeting, we're
Joe?
having a public hearing on this. Okay, and it needs to be addressed.
I'm not telling you can't ask your question, I'm asking you, let's have this meeting occur in a respectful manner.
It is a respectful
Joe,
manner,
Joe,
you're
Joe.
interrupting me and I got the floor. Okay,
Joe,
I have the meeting, okay, I'm asking the question. Has nothing to do with the
let's
applicant.
keep this moving and let's keep this as respectful as we can, as you possibly can.
Okay, the question has not been answered. Okay, I have a right to ask the question and get a response. Because
You
we
asked the
want-
question and he has responded. If the response is not sufficient, then we can talk about that during the meeting.
So Joe, my landscaping plan it's not an artwork, it's just,
I'm not asking that.
it's just-
Is it a document? Is it something that's in the file? Okay, I understand what you're saying verbally, but that doesn't mean
Nope.
anything if it's not part of the record.
no, yep, not verbally, a description of work. The description of work in the DNR permit was that we're restoring the edges with a wetland grass mix. And that essentially is that is the landscape plan. And then there's the grading plan outside of the landscape plan, which shows the depth and every foot of elevation change in the
I see
DNR
that.
grade.
No, I don't see anything in the conditions that deal with restoration. That's why I'm asking the question. Because
Oh.
it could be in one of the conditions.
Sure, yeah, the restoration just states that it'll be. The remainder of the area will be restored to its current condition. Right now, it's grass that we started cutting this fall.
Well, I think the conditions should be amended and represented, because it's not part of.
If I could maybe just clarify, the way I understand, again, I didn't write the report, Orin did, but as a standard condition, condition number 3 basically says, satisfy all conditions, comments and concerns, and one of them is the DNR. And so the DNR permit does require that planting. So that is inherently a condition, it's just not stated, it's not pulled out, it's referring back to the DNR.
Correct.
Mitch, did you look like you had something you wanted to maybe add for clarification, or did you, is it been addressed now? Oh, it's been addressed, okay. Joe, any other questions?
No, I do not.
All right, so you can, Chad can stay after in case we have, anyone else have any questions for the applicant? All right, I guess we're set then. Good. And now it's, now for turn.
State my name again,
Please do, just so everyone on Zoom knows who's speaking.
Mary Stockcraft. I live at W222 and 8992 Elmwood Road. Sussex, Wisconsin, 53089. So my question, can we pull up that map? That grading map? I'm just concerned. This is already a wetland. We have lots of mosquitoes out in the area. We also have fox and deer and possums and barred owl and lots of things. I've lived here for 45 years out of my life. And I'm just concerned. It's already wet. Now we're gonna make it how much deeper? I heard 3 feet, but now I'm hearing 5 feet from you guys.
All right.
So are we gonna put up a fence around in case kids drowned, or what's the plan here?
We can answer all the questions that you have, but I want you to go ahead and ask anything else that you would have to,
Okay.
and conclude your.
My other concern is if we bring in geese and ducks, now they're gonna be pooping all over my neighbors' yards, which they came to me with those concerns. And the mosquitoes are just awful there, but I am concerned about fencing. I have grandchildren. He actually has small children too. So those are my concerns. That's the only thing I had to say about it. I thought it was 3 feet and I thought, well, that's useless because sometimes it's 3 feet already. So, the end. Okay.
Thank you, Mary. Is there?
Matt, if you'd like, I can respond to the fencing requirements. Fences are not required for wetland or landscape ponds in our code.
And I mean, there's the ratio of 8-to-1 slope. Does that have some, I mean, that factors into the safety aspect of this?
Correct. The more slope it has, the more safe it is, because people can't just stumble into deep water. But yes, that's a consideration, and 8-to-1 would meet normal standards. Usually, 3-to-1 slope is as you normally get.
And then the other question, I guess, was, I mean, regarding wildlife and droppings. I mean, I don't know if there's anything really to note there. I mean, the considerations between a wetland versus the wet pond. Staff doesn't have anything that's really to add on that.
No, except that's one of the whole points of doing it is for the wildlife. And so I could think the hope is that you get birds and things in the water, but maybe you want to speak to that?
Chad again. Okay, so to Mary's point, spring, it's usually 3 feet deep anyway, some years. So that was kind of the idea behind it, was just to keep it wetland. It used to be farm field. Since I put a driveway in next to it for the house, it's no longer going to be farmed. I thought it was just a better use of the land. Directly to the east of that, and we could have won, my wife and I could have won either or on the location. Just to the east of that, we ended up ordering tamarack trees from the DNR and then wetland grass seed mix, and that used to be a farm field, and I was doing that portion as more of a current stated wetlands, and the left would be more of a scrape. Several neighbors already have ponds. I was concerned about mosquitoes, so I started looking into it, and most of that is within a few hundred feet, which we thought that was the best spot for it since it was just the driveway then. If we're gonna have water, we might as well keep it there.
Thank you, Chad.
Yep.
Anyone else from the public like to make a comment? Anyone on
If
Zoom?
anyone on Zoom would like to comment, please use the raise hand function. No hands raised on Zoom.
All right. Anyone on the commission have any other questions before we close the public hearing?
Is there, anything regarding the depth of the pond requirements, as far as how deep it can be or how shallow it can be? I thought it was on there. Well, that's what it's asking for, but I'm just asking for our zoning, is there a requirement for?
There's not a maximum in our zoning code, no.
So you're saying that it could go like 12 feet deep and still not require a fence?
Correct.
There are probably some retention ponds and subdivisions that are almost that deep and they're not fenced. No water.
So you're talking in general with stormwater facilities, when we design them, we will go with like a max slope of a 3-to-1, but then we're required, DNR has a standard. Where we put in what we call safety shelf, which is a 10-foot wide shelf that drops only 1 foot in that 10 feet. So then when we continue from that point at that 3-to-1 slope, we'll continue that to the bottom, however deep they need to be to take care of cleaning the water and before discharges. But there is some safety features when we do something like that goes deeper. This is just with 8-to-1 slopes. It's pretty gentle, and it's designed at only 5 feet, so I would see any concern with that safety standpoint.
Yeah, so just to be clear, we're not misleading. I mean, this says that the average depth will be approximately 5 feet.
Maximum depth.
Okay, so what we do have it here in our notes, it does say an average depth of 5 feet, so but maybe that's not your notes, that's the other notes here, but you did provide the,
The permit says for the DNR average 5 feet.
okay, but then the elevations, I mean, that's where we are looking and it's, yes, it's no more than 5 feet, so that's just
I guess
a,
it's full, right, average 5 feet maximum depth, but.
I guess it's not, right? I mean, they would be an average depth of
Well,
2.5 feet, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
but.
So. So we're max, so it's just a slight difference in terminology, but the average would be 2.5 and the maximum depth is gonna be 5 feet. It's everyone's, right? I think that's higher trust is that issue to a certain extent.
Answer the question, thank you.
So we have ran into problems in the past with the public hearings and having people come back and back. So I have to be pretty strict with just allowing you once, if that's your husband, and he wants to come up and ask a question, or please take advantage of it that way. We don't need the form, but please state your name and address.
Okay, my name is Tim Stuckroth, address is W222 and 8992 Elmwood Road, Sussex, Wisconsin, 53089. I guess we don't really understand what's the purpose of it, of the pond. I'm just kind of questioning, I guess the question goes to Chad.
So because it's a public hearing, your comments need to be directed up here. There can't be any back and forth.
Right. So I don't see any purpose for this pond, but I don't get a whole notes that you guys have.
Yeah, I think it might have been stated otherwise, but yes, if that's the question, we can ask the applicant if he wishes to address it, but that's, again, that's the here to there. Anything else that you,
No, sir.
okay, all right, thank you. Chad, you want to step back up?
The main purpose behind the wetland scraper pond was that it was formerly farm fields. It's no longer going to be farm fields. When I've owned the property since only last September, this past spring, it was pretty flooded. It washed stuff away. I thought it was new growth away. Figured it would be more advantageous to keep it more, as a wetland scrape or wildlife feature on the front of the driveway of my property.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions or comments in this public hearing? If not, I'll close the public hearing. All right, hearing none, the public hearing is closed. I got 7:01.
Correct.
All right, so we will move on to item 4 on the agenda tonight, which are citizen comments. If any citizens have any comments regarding any of the items on tonight's agenda, they can step to the microphone and state their name and address for the record and limit the presentation to 3 minutes. Hearing none, we'll move on to item 5, and there's no one on Zoom, I assume, who has any comments.
Nope. If you'd like to make a comment during citizen comment, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. No hands raised.
All right, move on to item 5, which is approval of the meeting minutes from October 22nd, 2025, the public hearing and plan commission minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Move on to 6A under new business, which is discussion and necessary action regarding the possible termination of the conditional use permit issued for American Tower Corporation and John Marlene Condon for the communication tower in the property located at W260 and 6035 Mary Hill Road, with Lisbon tax number 0257.071. You gave a presentation earlier. Is there anything else to add?
No, I don't really have anything else to add, just a reminder that consideration of termination would be based on those two provisions of the zoning ordinance I mentioned, which are part of the motion to terminate.
All right. Kurt, you've got the most familiarity with everyone here. I'll let you start if you'd like. Do you have any questions, comments, or ready for a motion right away, or would you like to move forward?
I can move forward. I just want to make a quick statement, though, I think, in regards to this conditional use permit. This was done quite a few years ago, almost 30 years ago. And as a result of what we've gone through as the plan commission and the board regarding this communication tower and this conditional use permit, I think in the future, we just need to be cautious on how this conditional use permit is written for existing use with the existing tower, plus building a new one in the future is probably not something we want to do in the future. So I just caution the committee in the future to pay attention to what's transpired on this particular one and remember that going forward. That's all I have.
All right. Anyone else have any discussion? Kurt, you want to make a motion? I'll give you the honors if you'd like.
I think someone else should make a motion.
All right. Does anyone wish to make the motion on the item then?
I'll make a motion for the Lisbon Plan Commission to recommend to the village board revocation of the conditional use permit issued to Waukesha Tower Associates together with the owners of the real property located at West 260 North 6035 Mary Hill Road. On the grounds that the use was not continued in conformity with the conditions of the conditional use permit pursuant to section 1804 sub G sub 1 sub C sub I of the Village Lisbon Code as the 1997 conditional use permit along with ongoing maintenance and evidence that have been presented conformity with the lease have been permitted. And the rest of that paragraph.
Great. I believe that there might have been a slight error. It's American.
So the conditional use permit was issued to Waukesha Tower, which is now American Tower.
Okay. All right. So that's fine. That the recommended motion that Sherry just read is appropriate.
Yes, that is
Okay,
appropriate.
Great. Is there a second for that motion? Right, motion's been made in second.
Sean, you were the second? Thank you.
Just clarify that the motion includes the entire paragraph.
Yes, I said the
Yes.
paragraph to any conditions.
Yes.
All right. Is there any additional discussion? Is Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Right, motion carries 6-0. We'll move on to item 6B, which is discussion and necessary action on the request of Chad, Oman.
Good enough.
All right, so that's, I usually butcher worse than that, so.
Yeah.
For the conditional use permits to allow excavating for the purpose of improving wildlife habitat via the wetland scrape in the 80-10 agricultural and C1 conservancy zoning districts on the property located at W222 and 8944 Elmwood Road with Lisbon tax number 0148.999.005. Again, anything else to add? Probably not.
Not really, just to reiterate that it does allude to compliance with DNR requirements and satisfaction of their concerns, so that is in there. If you wanted to essentially say more specifically with regard to the planting, we could certainly add that as a condition.
I was gonna say, maybe, would it be beneficial just for the property owner as well as the village to just have him type up a landscape plan and submit that as part of his package, even if it's just simply stating his description of what the landscape plan would be? If it does say in here somewhere that a landscape plan was submitted.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with that. It would certainly just be an additional condition to submit it for the planner, essentially.
Would that suffice for you, John?
yeah, that's fine. I'm just reading what's in here in the approval. Which says the type and extent of landscaping and screening of the site. Which includes the restoration of both the construction site plus the spoil site.
But the soil site is going to be within the boundaries of the house, so they don't need a landscaping plan. Our focus would be on where the scrape is happening, so.
Yep.
If I'm understanding, oh, go ahead.
Joe, if you look in your packet materials, there should be a DNR report. On the first page of that, under findings of fact, number 1. The last sentence says areas disturbed around the pond outside of the surface water will be restored with a wet meadow native seed mix.
That's for pond. I'm
Correct.
talking about spoil site. And yes, it includes in part the house, but there's areas outside that house that will be impacted as a result of the placement of material. Otherwise, what's gonna happen? Not saying that it's going to happen, they can build a house, not landscape anything, not put one piece of grass seed whatsoever on the spoil site, and it becomes a problem. And if you just include it in there as one of the conditions, then it's not a problem, because they have to comply with it. It's more than just
Yep,
the
you're
house.
correct.
So,
Mitch, Brian's missing tonight, but how far away from, or anyone, how far away from the house do we, you can do a certain amount of square feet outside of a certain area from the house before you need a grading permit?
I believe it's a 30-foot extension off of the outside wall of the house.
Well, that's it?
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot more. than that.
and if you look at the grading plan, you'll see where the spoil site is much larger than the footprint of the house.
Or you mean the 30 feet, is what you mean, from the house?
This is the spoil site. The house goes in through here. I'm talking about the remainder of the area other than the excavation for the house.
When you're saying that
There's
there's
third areas.
30 feet
Yes,
perimeter around the house that will be
right,
filled with the spoils.
right.
Yeah, I think it states that if you disturb the land with outside of 25 to 30 feet away from the house, you need a grading permit,
But I do have a,
approved grading permit.
but I do have a approved grading permit because we're under construction on the home right now.
Okay.
Yes,
So that's where that's coming into play. There's a whole other permit for the house that's already approved. They're
Correct.
framing currently.
And it's not just from the house, it's from the driveway, it's from the mound, it's from, I mean, you kind of, if you put these together, it does widen the yard that you can. Yeah. But I mean, to that point, I mean, and you nodded, so how do you want to address, how do you want to add to that? I don't think there's any objections.
So, if I understand correctly, you're using the scrape, the spoils from the scrape as your fill for your grading.
Portion of it, we'll still have to
for
bring
the
fill
house
in,
construction.
but yeah, a portion of the
Yeah.
fill.
Chad, can you just come up to the mic, please? Just so anyone on Zoom can hear you too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we still had to bring fill in, but you know, the goal is that a good chunk of the remainder would come from there to avoid more trucking.
I mean, the DNR requirement is that everything stays on site, that, I mean, and that's,
Correct.
and that's
It stays
obviously
there.
happening because the trucking is minimal when it's already on site.
Yeah, it just works out well with timing.
Is, I got a question, is the part of the grading permit, doesn't it require a landscape plan with that grading permit? Is there one on file already for the house?
There was for the site development when he first split off the parcel.
Yeah, and the house didn't require landscape.
Correct, the house does not.
When you built, did you build your house, Kurt?
I had to submit a landscape plan.
Was that through your subdivision association?
No, it was a requirement from the town at the time.
So besides seeding of the ground, you had to do plantings of trees?
I
and things?
submitted a full landscape plan.
Yeah, definitely not required, I mean, here or really anywhere I've seen.
This is where we're missing Brian. I mean, I don't think we,
My house was built 20 years ago. so-
well, and mine was, you know, whatever it was, I mean, and I don't think we had a landscaping plan. I mean, and that's why I was conscious about how far it is from more than just the house, but also from the driveway and the mound, that can kind of make a triangle that things can stay in between.
It's the wetland strip is 30 feet off of the driveway. As far as the mound, you're talking septic?
Yes.
I got approved for conventional, so surprisingly, it's rare. So, but because of that, around the septic area, because we were approved for conventional, it's very sandy and gravelly. So any of the topsoil we get from the wetland scrape, we'll be using for grass seeding. So,
Mr. President, two comments. First, there were comments earlier about Army Corps, and that is in the condition 3C, among the conditions that are proposed. It's not only DNR, compliance with DNR, but also compliance with Army Corps. I think Army Corps has said they don't have jurisdiction, and that's fine, but that closes the loop on that issue, I think. The other thought I have, based on this discussion, is the Plan Commission may want to consider adding a condition that makes this a approval subject to the applicant submitting a landscape plan showing the location and restoration of the spoils and restoration of areas outside, disturbed areas outside of the surface water of the pond.
I mean, if we're concerned about the spoils, I understand that, but if we're, I mean, if, and again, whatever the majority of the commission wants to do, but if we're looking at the wet area of the pond is obviously the wet area of the pond, and the areas that are disturbed outside of the pond area within this 10,000 square feet is gonna be planted with a wet meadow native seed mix. I mean, I assume that's a defined mix, right? I mean,
Right,
you know,
that's-
so,
You're not gonna put that around the house.
It's not the house.
no, around the pond, what, but the disturbance
The
there,
pond is,
I don't know that we need more than that.
the pond is covered.
You're not gonna build a new house and then have it's look like crap with dirt.
No.
I don't think so.
I think the town is in or the village is in a discussion with somebody right now with deal with restoration, but all you have to do is make as one of the conditions, my opinion, is that any disturbed areas as a result of the excavation of the pond on the property be restored with some type of material. Now, if don't think we should dictate what it is. If it's grass seed and topsoil, that's fine, but say it. Put it on a piece of paper so it's in the file. So if it isn't done, the village has got recourse to have it done. That's all I'm talking about.
Would you like to make a motion?
No, there's only a motion on the floor.
Is there for this one?
No, there's no motion for this.
That was the last discussion item.
You have a motion on this guy.
You're the most passionate about this one.
Well, at least somebody should be, but fine, well, where is the recommended motion on this thing?
Joe, would you be okay, if he's already got a site plan for the home, would you be okay with him submitting that site plan and just highlighting the area of the grade? Yeah.
It should take 10
And
minutes.
just put a note on there saying that this will be, and he doesn't need to worry about any plantings of besides the
no, I
grass,
don't
just
care
state that it will be
right.
restored with.
Landscaping
With grass.
includes topsoil and
Yep,
seed,
and
that's
that's-
all it is, it would
it's
take
very
5 minutes
simple,
to do it.
Just to do it and simplify it. I think that would help. Then everybody should be happy.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, then that would be one of the conditions of this, and so therefore, I'll make a motion that the conditional use permit be granted to include planners and engineers' comments. I don't see anything in here that we got from the engineer. And to also include a drawing showing the extent and restoration of the areas outside the pond. That's all it takes.
And so you want to draw?
Yeah,
Of the
just
road?
take, you already,
Work with Mitch.
Is there a second to that motion?
Kurt, you were the second?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We see you got the
Yep.
motion sufficient, okay? Is there any additional discussion? You understand what's?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
And Mitch, you understand what? the
Yeah, I
direction
know
is?
what Joe wants. to say.
Okay, all right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 6C, which is discussion necessary action on the request from James, who I'm never gonna get the last name.
Heinrichs.
That should be an easy one. Hometown Storage Solutions LLC for the following items related to the redivision of the parcel identified as Lisbon tax fee numbers LSBT 0161.999.010 and 0161.999.015. So I, there is section 20.37, a waiver from the maximum depth to width ratio required by section 20.199 of the Lisbon Municipal Code as it applies to the proposed lots 3 and 4. And item 2, there is the 4 lots CSM and recommendation to the village board of the same. These need to be addressed separately, can they be addressed in a single motion?
Well,
Eric, what do you- or-
the staff report doesn't include a motion for the waiver because it was written before the application was submitted for the waiver request, so. I think Orin has said you normally do a separate motion for each, a separate
Correct.
motion for the waiver and a separate
Alright.
motion for. The other. You want me to provide an overview?
Yes, and you're fine with us taking these discussion together and all that?
We can do the discussion together, they're interrelated, but, separate motions.
Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, I'll just give you a brief overview as I understand it. So this was in front of you as a concept in July, I believe. For the 4 lot CSM, essentially this is the property just west of Quick Trip on Q. 4 lot CSM, lot 2 of the proposed CSM was conditionally rezoned earlier this year. Pending the CSM be submitted and then also a conditional use and site plan of operation for lot 2. Lot 2 is essentially going to be used for self-storage and contractor storage by the petitioner, with hopes to potentially expand to lot 1 at some point. Lot 1 and lot 2 share an access easement on the queue. So it's, the access easements on lot 1 to the benefit of both of the lots. Lot 3 and lot 4 are currently vacant, but there is a driveway that goes back to two existing residential lots further south. There's an easement on there. That easement would remain. Lot 3 and lot 4 would essentially share. There'd be a new right-of-way dedicated on the queue for the benefit of lots 3 and lot 4 with a T turnaround. So essentially it'd be public right-of-way and a public improvement there as part of the new road. Let's see. The comprehensive plan essentially plans the existing western parcel as rural density. The existing eastern parcel is commercial and office park. So the proposed land division and the previous rezone are consistent with the plan. There are some wetlands on the property right now that they aren't delineated. We would require that those be delineated prior to recording of the CSM, and then also preservation restrictions. So those, and also the isolated natural resource area would also be added to the CSM. That's all I got. Mitch, did you have anything to add?
No, there was some technical comments that we had in there and actually.
Yep, I've got the markup up on the screen.
So the waiver itself for lots 3 and 4 are basically based on the shape of the width to length ratio. They essentially exceed what is typically required of a 2-to-1 ratio. And so some of the comments I have, just, obviously standard approval, but subject to developers agreement for the public improvements for the T turnaround, field delineation of wetlands, and again, the preservation restrictions as part of that. Oh, and also soil boring tests and perk tests, results to be provided and then depicted on the CSM.
I don't, maybe I'm just forgetting it, but I don't recall during our previous discussion that any discussion about that T turnaround. Is that something that I missed, or did that come about from the county?
I can't answer that question. Do you know, Mitch?
So what I believe is there can only be a certain number of lots that share a driveway. And so because of this driveway then sharing with lot 3, 4, and the 2 residential homes to the south, the T turnaround allows for lot 3 to be accessed via that right of way and not be a part of that shared driveway.
Oh, gotcha.
That sounds fair. Okay, all right. James, anything else? I mean, that you'd like to add before we ask the questions?
So, question for me is, if I'm looking at this map, so that T turnaround, and then there's a solid black line. That I believe is the lot line, right? Between
Correct.
3 and 4.
Yep.
So where is the separate driveway that's gonna be accessing lot 3? Is that shown on the certified survey map?
No, it's not. I don't think you have plans for that access, correct?
Not included as part of the CSM. The plan is not to develop lot 3 at this point. But the access for lot 3 would be on the east side of the T turnaround area, and then would come down and go around the wooded section.
What's the distance between the property line of lot 1 and the wetland wooded section? Is that big enough? I mean, is that pretty large? You get a driveway through there
Yeah, so the intent was to keep it 20 feet away from the wooded section. And I believe somewhere it states driveways being 12 feet potentially, but I don't know if there's a specific driveway size that was stated other than the 12-foot that was referenced.
So 12-foot wide driveway or 12 feet off the property line of lot 1?
No, a 12-foot driveway.
Is there a requirement for how far it has to be off of lot 1? Or 2 for that, and the wetlands.
Which again have not been, this is an estimate, they have not been
So
delineated.
this could actually, make that area even smaller, the building needs farther out.
Excuse me, can you have this conversation outside?
Yep, sorry.
Okay, we're trying to hold meeting here. Thank you. Go ahead.
Where is this T turnaround going to?
Joe, if you look up on the screen, the T turnaround is right up here.
It's not showing on the CSM. That's why I'm asking.
Well, sure.
It's on the second page.
Yeah.
It is.
doesn't say
Well, it
that's
doesn't say
what
T
it is.
turnaround.
Right.
That's why I'm asking the question. Because there's an existing easement, access easement that's shown on the CSM. But it's not, it's all on lot 4 and the lower part of lot 3. There's no easement whatsoever that's shown on lot 3 for this access. That's why we're trying to figure out the
Yeah,
CSM.
I think the access easement comes up in here, which is why they're saying it has that access.
Hard to do it without a wetland delineation, whether or not there's room for anything to get through there.
For reference, I know that the wetland's not accurate because it's just based on the inventory mapping, but as shown, it's about 55 feet from the property line. So again, it's probably gonna change a little bit either way, but that's the distance you're looking at on the map.
They already have an easement for a future road potentially going through there, right? That's what that easement is, where the current driveway is going, there's, I believe, 66 feet wide easement for a road development, which will allow access to lot 3.
But then, it's not. Mitch, have you seen the CSM, the real CSM that you can read? Is that, we're not looking at a dedication here.
Actually, the way I'm reading this right now. That. Wait, bring this up here. They are proposing for that T looking area of the. To be dedicated to, the public.
Okay, but,
So part of it would end up falling within the county road Q, but that bump
Right.
out that you see there would end up being.
that's not my concern.
Okay.
I'm worried about going south of there. What I can see on my copy of the copy of the copy.
Yeah,
Is there's a 33 and a 66 foot wide. Something.
and that's existing. That
Okay.
is off of a previous
Okay, but
CSM.
we're not, I just wanna make sure we are not accepting any dedication from that T
That
south.
is correct.
Because you have the CSM, we don't have the CSM.
That's correct.
Okay. We don't wanna
Yep.
inherit that.
I know.
All right, anything, Ben or Lisa, do you have anything else you wanted to add? I mean, you guys have been seeing this a lot. Anything that might be missing or anything you've guys been back and forth on it? Anything other clarification you can provide?
Just clarification, lot 4, the reason we need the depth to width ratio of approved is because of that easement. It did change the lot shape, and so because of that lot shape change, we're now adding lot 4 and lot 3 as part of that. The depth to width
For the waiver request.
waiver, thank you.
So let's say that they delineate the wetlands on lot 3 and there's not sufficient area to get to the southern portion of lot 3.
I believe the recording of the CSM is contingent on their delineation.
It is. That's one of the conditions in the planner report.
Sufficient. Okay, all right, so I mean that will address that.
And I guess if there wouldn't be sufficient, then they would have to combine 3 and 4 into one lot. Make it
Or
accessible.
move the lot line, I guess.
Well, they have to start all over.
Yeah.
Everything we would do tonight would be moved. we would just
Right,
start
I'm
all
just
over
saying,
again. Yeah.
to make it feasible, they would probably have to combine those two into one parcel.
Those are the two options, either, yeah, one, a single parcel or. Changing the lot lines, but that would start over, I mean, it would not start over, but it would
Modify it.
Right, we'd be coming back. Revisiting this.
So I believe some of the work for the delineation started last week, before we got all the snow, obviously. But then it's scheduled to resume once the weather cooperates, and, I don't know the exact timetable of that, but it is weather dependent.
No, they won't allow.
Gotta wait till spring.
There'll be
We
late
will see
spring.
vegetation.
They're not gonna do it till second quarter next year.
All right, we talked about this a bunch at other meetings. I think we have some concerns. I think we've addressed a lot of them. You know what a lot of those are. Are there still outstanding concerns that we wish to express, or are we, someone want to make a motion here?
Well, good night, Mr. President. Just make a comment on condition two in the staff recommendation. It does refer to the field delineation being required. It doesn't go into the detail of this issue that we've been discussing though. I wonder if we would want to modify that to say at the end of that paragraph two, and village staff concluding that there is sufficient access around the wetland for to serve lot 3.
If we're going to do that, then we need to specify what that width will be, because access could be 8 feet to get a car through.
So I think what Eric read it or suggested would be, I mean, leaving that discretion a little bit to the staff, but if you'd like to be more specific.
I think it'd be subject to our village code as far as the width of the driveway, which I believe is 12 feet, so.
Is there a setback from lot lines too for driveways?
Thought it was 2 feet.
Small,
Yeah,
Not
it's short.
Only- I
Is
think
it 3 feet? Okay.
3 feet from the lot line.
So subject to code,
Yeah.
essentially.
Right, so we're looking for taking the first and second item here separately. Is someone ready to make a motion on the item regarding the waiver for the depth to width ratio portion of this item?
Yes, I just want to remind you of the, the standards of our code on that point.
Oh, it's a 2.5 to 1.
Yes, but our code has specific standards for granting a waiver. That I had.
I can pull it up.
Village Plan Commission shall make a determination which shall include consideration, but not necessarily an affirmative finding of the following factors. Whether the request for a waiver or modification if granted would be consistent with the general intent of this chapter. Whether the request for a waiver or modification if granted would adversely affect property owners in the surrounding area. Whether the request for a waiver or modification if granted would benefit the petitioner's project in a way that is not inconsistent with the village's interests. Whether the petitioner is in full compliance with applicable ordinances and agreements with the village. Whether instead of granting the request for a waiver or modification, the chapter itself should be changed to accommodate the kind of situation presented by the petitioner. So I just want to be sure you're aware of those standards when you consider granting the waiver.
All right, with that being said, we should move forward with a motion on a waiver. Anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve the waiver from the maximum depth to width ratio required by section 20.199 of section 5 of the Lisbon Municipal Code as applies to the proposed lot 3 and lot 4.
That's,
So we're just going one at a time.
yes, yeah.
Yep.
All right, is there a second to that motion?
1 second.
All right, is there, are you happy with everything that's there? Okay. Is there any additional discussion All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Always say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 5-1. Item 2 is discussion of necessary action on the 4-lot CSM and recommendation to the village board of the same. We've had some discussion, there's a recommended motion here, which we would like to add to point 2 regarding there being sufficient area between the wetland and lot line between lot 3 and 4 for the driveway. Is there anything else to be added, or is someone ready to make a motion?
Well, it's basically guaranteeing that they'll be able to get a driveway in here, or it doesn't go through.
That's
Correct,
exactly
it'll
what
have to come back.
And just, this CSM cannot be recorded until after the delineation is. done.
Correct.
You want to take a shot at it, Rhonda?
I'll make a motion to approve this CSM for James Heinrichs. Hometown Storage Solutions for the property located at County Line Road and State Road 164, LSBT 0161.999.015 and 0161.999.0.1.0, subject to the planner's comments, staff comments, and attorney's comments on number 2,
Engineer comments?
and engineer.
So I think I can let you say it, or I can say it, but so the recommendation is, it's a recommendation to the village board for approval.
Yeah.
I can see you're on the edge of your chair, that's the correction there.
Yeah.
All right, so is there a second to that motion?
I can say.
All right,
Sherry, was that you?
Sherry, yes.
Okay.
All right, additional discussion? The additional discussion. All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-1.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Item 7 is the planner report.
I don't have a report unfortunately, because I'm not sure what that item is. What does Lauren usually do?
Oh, it's gonna.
I can do your planner report.
Okay.
So far, we do not have any items for January. As you all know, the regular December Plan Commission meeting was canceled due to the Christmas holiday, which is why we're here tonight. Our next meeting, you should have all received, when you got to your spots, a calendar with all of next year's meetings on it. So our January meeting will be on January 28th. Here at the community room.
Thank you.
That's it.
So we anticipate at a minimum, the one.
We think so.
I'm not sure if that name's out there yet or not, but,
It is not.
okay, all right. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
Who's the second?
Sean seconded, Rob made the motion, Sean seconded. All those in favor say aye. Always say nay. Motion
At 7:39.
carries 6-0, yeah, 7:39. Thank you very much.
That chair hurts my back.